Angelic beings literally coming down, crossing the line into the fleshly, physical realm. Out of that, something happened. Offspring was produced. And it wasn't just any offspring, but it was a vile and evil demonic offspring. And understand something. This offspring has come to make war against us. They have come to do battle. They have come to afflict. They come to oppress. And there's something very, very important that you need to understand about these demons. Their hatred for you cannot be quenched. I want you to really ponder that. Generation after generation after generation, they afflict, they oppress, they do battle, and it is never enough. They never come to the point where they say, oh my, I've afflicted man and woman, age after age, generation after generation. I can't do this anymore. My heart doesn't allow me. I cannot afflict them anymore. They never stop coming. Enoch 42 verse 1, we read, wisdom found no place where she might dwell. Then a dwelling place was assigned for her in the heavens. Wisdom went forth to make her dwelling among the children of men and found no dwelling place, and took her seat among the angels. And unrighteousness went forth from her chambers, whom she sought not she found, and dwelt with them as rain in a desert and dew on thirsty land. At first glance, this passage may not seem like it's saying a whole lot. Or even at first glance, it may not appear that it's really making a whole lot of sense, but I can tell you it is, and it does. It is saying a lot here, and it does make a lot of sense. There's two separate events being conveyed. So what I want to do is I want to look at this first event. Let's get rid of verse 3. We're just going to look at the first two verses here. And what I want to draw your attention to is the word, and I'll highlight this for you, the word wisdom. What do you notice about this term wisdom in this passage? Well, the first thing that jumps out is it is personified. The question here is well, who is that? If it's being utilized in the context where it's being personified and it represents someone, the question for us to understand the passage is who is the person being described here? Well, this is where the Bible comes into play, because when we read about wisdom in the Bible in the identical context, meaning where wisdom's being personified, there's only one candidate that fits this bill, and that is the Messiah, Yeshua, period. Proverbs 8, verse 1, does not wisdom cry out in understanding, lift up her voice? Notice anything? The entire chapter of Proverbs 8, it is all about wisdom, and in a specific context, the identical context of what we read in Enoch 42. It is personified. Here we have wisdom, and it's crying out. It's doing something that a person would do, crying out and lifting up her voice. Her voice. Now, you might just say, well, Daniel, now that's really confusing, and you seem to be contradicting yourself, because you just said or purported that wisdom was actually the Messiah, Yeshua. He's masculine. That would fall under the male term. Well, this is where it's very, very important that you see. In Hebraic context, from a Hebraic mindset, it is consistent, it is common, mind you, to take the masculine and represent it in the feminine, to represent that masculine in the feminine. And all you need to do is go through the Bible, and you see this over and over again. And I'll give you a couple examples. You think of Israel. Oftentimes, most times, Israel is representative in the masculine. That's how it's represented, right? But at other times, it's represented in the feminine. As we come to the first century, we find that the Apostle Paul, well, he understood exactly where we're going with this. He understood exactly what I just presented to you. Listen to what he says in 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 24. But to those who are called, both Jews and Greeks, Mashiach is the power of God and the wisdom of God. Paul comes right out and says, Yeshua is the wisdom of God. He is wisdom personified. Going back to Proverbs chapter 8, verse 17, wisdom goes on to say this, I love those who love me, and those who seek me diligently will find me. I love those who love me. Where have we heard that before? John chapter 14, verse 21, Yeshua. He who has my commandments and keeps them, it is he who loves me. And he who loves me will be loved by my Father, and I will love him and manifest myself to him. Yeshua just got done saying the exact same thing that we just read in Proverbs 8. Look at this. He who loves me, I will love him. What did wisdom just say? I love those who love me. There's no question. Now, going back to the book of Enoch, we're going to continue. There's a second part. There's a second event recorded here. And this really is the focus of today, setting the stage. Going to verse 3, we read the following. And unrighteousness went forth from her chambers, whom she sought not she found, and dwelt with them as rain in a desert and dew on thirsty land. Again, rhetorically asking, who do you suppose this unrighteousness is referring to? Satan, the devil, right? Hasatan. I want you to notice that unrighteousness is looking for someone in particular. But we're told that she doesn't find the one she is looking for. Very important. All right? Well, I want to take you to the book of Revelation, and I want to show you how this all ties in. This is incredible. In Revelation chapter 12, verse 1, we read, Now a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a garland of 12 stars. I want to stop here for a second. Who is this woman? How do we identify her? Well, fortunately for us, we're given a very significant sign of who this woman is, and it is the garland of 12 stars. This is the indicator of who we're dealing with. A garland of 12 stars is on top of this woman's head. Who would that be? Israel. Continuing on in verse 2. Then being with child, she cried out in labor and in pain to give birth. And another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great fiery red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 diadems on his heads. His tail drew 1/3 of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was ready to give birth to devour her child as soon as it was born. She bore a male child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up to God and his throne. What we just read in the book of Enoch, chapter 42, what was prophesied in Enoch, okay? Remember, wisdom would come forth, right? What Revelation would call here refers to a male child being brought forth. And who was waiting for the male child? Unrighteousness, right? Well, what did Enoch say? Unrighteousness went forth from her chambers, but whom she sought, not she found. Exactly what is being described here in Revelation 12. Moving on in verse 6. Then the woman fled into the wilderness where she has a place prepared by God that she should feed there 1,260 days. Moving on to verse 7, and this is where we really get to the heart of the matter. A war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought with the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought. A war broke out in heaven. What was the outcome of this war? What was the outcome? We find out in the next verse. But they did not prevail, nor there was a place found for them in heaven any longer. So the great dragon was cast out, that serpent of old, called the devil or Diablos, and Satan, Satanus, who deceives the whole world. He was cast to the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Then I heard a voice saying in heaven, Now salvation and strength and the kingdom of our God and the power of his Mashiach have come. For the accuser of our brethren, who accused them before our God day and night, has been cast down. And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. And they did not love their lives to the death. Therefore rejoice, O heavens, and you who dwell in them. Well, this is wonderful. The heavens get to rejoice because the accuser has been cast out. They've been thrown out. But I want to ask the question that all of you want to ask. What about us? Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, for the devil has come down to you, having great wrath, because he knows that he has a short time. Now, when the dragon saw that he had been cast to the earth, he persecuted the woman who gave birth to the male child, dropping down to verse 17. And the dragon was enraged with the woman, and he went to make war. This is what he has done. When he was cast out, he has come to make war with the rest of her offspring who keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Messiah Yeshua. We are at war. This is war. And we find that it's not just against evil spirits produced in the generation of Jared. It's way bigger than that. Because we're told over a third of heaven has come down. Hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of angels have come down. This is a horrible, horrible situation. It's as bad as it gets. And if that weren't enough, guess what? To top it all off, they now have a leader. They have a leader who was second to none among the angels in heaven. Scripture tells us that Satan was the seal of perfection. Scripture tells us that he was full of wisdom, that he was perfect in beauty. And all of these accolades that Hasatan has make sense because we're also told that he was the covering cherub that literally overshadowed the mercy seat, the closest that you could get to God, outside of Yeshua, of course, who sat on the throne himself. Our enemy couldn't be more dangerous, and he is better at what he does than anyone. He is clever, and he is a deceiver. He is the father of lies. He has mastered the art of intimidation, and he knows, make no mistake, he knows your vulnerable spots. He knows your weak spots, and he's going to hit you where it counts. He's going to take you out. He's going to try to take you out. Let me be clear. We do not stand a chance against him. We do not stand a chance against his army. In every way, he's more militarily advanced than we are. He's more capable. He's more strong. He is faster. He is quicker. He is wiser. It won't matter how many people that you get to join your fight. You will not prevail. There's only one who will prevail, and his name is Yeshua. That is the only one that can prevail, and you have an option. You better get on his team, or you're going down.
Hey there, this is Mike at Corner Fringe Ministries. Thanks for watching our video. If you liked the video or it encouraged you, do us a favor. Hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the share. And if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button. Now, if you want to watch the rest of this video, hit the button here. And if you want to watch the rest of this series, you can check it out here. And don't forget, you can download the Corner Fringe Ministries app today on any of your Play stores. Thanks for joining us at Corner Fringe Ministries.